Horizon Forbidden West feels like the game that Horizon Zero Dawn was trying to be. Guerrilla's enormous ambition finally realized. I do feel now that I finished the main story and did most of the side content that not every system or idea is well expanded upon, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the package you get here is amazing. And I really think the sequel is better in every way compared to the original, which is crazy to say because Zero Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. You will immediately notice the improved animations and facial expressions that make every conversation more engaging and give a personality to each character. One of the biggest achievements of the Forbidden West is how they're able to make the already interesting and intriguing world of the original even more believable. Just like Aloy, we will experience the way of life of some of the newer tribes for the first time. I love how the nature-focused Utaru have a name for all their so-called land gods, machines that help them harvest their fields so they could stay mostly independent from the other tribes. The fight-hungry Tenakth are inspired by the Ten, a soldier unit that operated in the old world but that they are able to see through so-called visions. Holograms from a museum a long time ago. One of the things I love about the Horizon world is how the remains of future technology impacts the people that now live on Earth. It made the first game so interesting, and in the sequel they embrace this even more. Also by adding more visual and narrative layers to even some of the familiar Zero Dawn tribes and old world characters, it makes it all very well realized. While there is an introduction video to get you up to speed, they do expect you to be up to date on the lore and revelations found during the first game, which might be overwhelming if you haven't touched Horizon in 5 years. On the other hand, this does mean that the story continues in meaningful ways, with the history of the old world way more at the center this time. And I will leave it at that, because going in without knowing anything is really the best way to experience this game. This will be a spoiler-free review, as the title suggests. Most of the footage you see here will be from early on in the game, so you can, like me, just be blown away by some of the moments. Cheer when amazing things eventually happen, get lost in the beautiful world, and build relationships with some of the characters. I was actually overwhelmed by the amount of dialogue you can have with the main cast, with new questions and backstories that would unlock almost after every mission. I wanted to hear everything, but after sometimes an hour of these optional conversations, I also felt the urge to continue playing. There's a ton here if you really want to dive into it. Maybe a little too much, but yeah, it's all up to you if you want to engage in it or not. Yes, side characters from the first game are also back, and while I did not like the direction of some of their stories, it was still fun to hang out with them again. And there's way more to go over, also a ton of gameplay changes that I really loved. If you're excited for Horizon, then totally leave a like on the video to show your support, and subscribe if you haven't already for way more spoiler-free Forbidden West content. The game starts 6 months after the final mission of the original, and while I like that we run around in the Shield Weaver, it's never really explained why it's not working and why Aloy only has a green hunter bow with her. Luckily, she still knows some of the skills you unlock in the first game, like we can immediately sneak up the machines to take them out and use concentration while aiming, and also slow down time while jumping. Another small but nice thing to see unlocked from the beginning is the ability to pick up plants and loot from the back of the mount. This was not possible in the original, only after unlocking a skill which was added with the Frozen Wilds DLC that launched almost a year later. So yes, you will still be picking up herbs for health and wood for arrows, but this time we got a stash that fixes a major problem from the first game. Now, every time your inventory is full, you can still pick up things, but these will then be automatically sent to your stash. You would run out of herbs often in Zero Dawn, so then before the start of a big machine fight, you would first have to run around for minutes or maybe even longer, so you would be able to heal yourself again. In Forbidden West, when you're out of herbs, you just go to your stash and with one press of the button, refill all the herbs, because you probably picked up hundreds by just playing the game that now ended up in this bank. there's no downtime anymore between fights, and that's amazing because a big part of the upgrade loop is about going after different machines. And I was surprised by the amount of new machines in the Forbidden West, including quite a few that were not revealed in pre-launch material, so I will totally leave those for you to discover. Also, most of the Zero Dawn machines are present here, and they put the elemental variants under the same machine spot, while in Zero Dawn they had their own individual place. And this makes the 43 spots in the machine catalog in the Forbidden West, you can by the way view from the beginning, even more impressive. If you just mainline the game, which is once again possible by the way, then you will only encounter the big machines once and even miss a few completely. Also, the enormous catalog makes sure that the end game is way more exciting. You will rarely hunt the same machine twice if you want to upgrade one weapon or armor piece. There's just way more depth and variety because machines have way more parts now too. So one time you will be focused on removing a specific piece from one machine, while the other time you don't want to destroy a certain part because then it's still intact, so you can loot it from its corpse. Combining the amount of machines with the multiple human factions really makes sure that every encounter feels quite different, especially during the main missions. After watching the trailers, I really thought that underwater gameplay was going to be a key part of the game, but turns out that it's more like an optional activity, which I actually prefer. During missions, it functions as a nice change of pace, because underwater, you're the prey instead of the hunter, and have to hide from machines that you could otherwise easily take out. We also find a lot of variety in the open world activities, from old ruins with environmental puzzles to the arena where it's more about your combat strength and loadout. The online leaderboard for the best time is by the way only for challenges where everyone gets the same weapons and gear, which totally makes it more fair and push you to try different equipment as well. Both types feel way more distinct this time around, making them useful throughout the whole game and for different situations. There are a few new ranged weapons like the spike thrower, which can explode after a short delay. Here I also grabbed the bolt blaster, which can easily deal a lot of elemental damage, but has to be reloaded from time to time. And one of the most interesting new weapons is the shredder gauntlet, which lets you throw a disc that you then can catch again. Do that 3 times and then the next throw explodes on impact. Really cool, but it's once again up to you if you decide to try these new weapons, because just like in Zero Dawn, you will be fine with some regular bows for most encounters. There are also a lot of skills linked to these weapons, so if you're not using or don't like the way a weapon functions, then these skills become uninteresting as well. And overall, I feel that the skill menu is kind of a missed opportunity. At first, the scope is impressive, but as you progress through the game and are showered in skill points, you will notice that most skills are just small passive bonuses that sometimes aren't even interesting at all, like taking less damage from your own traps or increasing the damage when low health. You will even find the same skills multiple times, and combined with the abilities for specific weapons, it makes it so that at one point you will just sit on a pile of skill points with nothing interesting to unlock. It has to be said, of course, the combat in Horizon is still amazing, and Forbidden West improves on this in every way. Not only because of the 60 FPS mode on PS5, which is glorious, but also thanks to the extra depth in customization. There are now multiple variants of the same weapon, even on the same rarity, but then with different ammo types, so there's way more room for variety on your now 6 weapon strong weapon wheel. And every machine has their strength and weaknesses, which you can once again easily see with the focus, although you will mostly be using it to scan for different parts, and maybe breakable weapons you can use of course against them, which is way more common this time, and they all feel completely different. Outfits now also add more meaningful bonuses, which makes it extra sad that there's no transmog system, at least at launch, so that we can use the look of one set and the bonuses of the other. And I also really like the Valor searches, which add huge benefits if you get the timing on when to use them right, and it makes hunting even familiar Zero Dawn machines way more exciting. We already saw it before launch, and yes, melee totally feels way better in this game, and the melee fighting pits you come across, while sometimes tricky to understand, teach you a lot of cool combos you can do. The sad part is though that melee is not really good against machines, even less so than in Zero Dawn in some cases. Even focusing on the warrior skills is not going to change that. Like sure, it works amazing against human enemies, but it would have been cool to apply both the ranged and melee playstyle to every encounter, but now you're kind of forced to use melee against humans and ranged against machines. Maybe there will be a cool melee build after launch that shows the strength of melee attacks against machines, but you at least really have to look for it if it's even in the game. I also found myself not using the grappling hook and glider that often during combat. For traversal they are amazing, but they aren't needed to overcome the biggest challenges in the game, although it does make for some fun hunting grounds where you are pushed to experiment with these tools. Yes, the hunting grounds are back in the sequel with sometimes even similar challenges compared to the first game. It actually makes the starting area feel way too familiar, as if they used the exact same blueprint as the Nora lands from Zero Dawn, with the same type of machines in the beginning area as well. I get that it might help new players, like it did for people who played Zero Dawn for the first time, but it is in a big contrast versus the amount of lore knowledge they expect you to have going into this game. I did a ton of side content first in the opening area, but I would suggest that you just go to the Forbidden West as soon as possible if you're having that same familiar feel, because there's just a ton of cool stuff waiting for you there. Yes, we have to override Tallnex again to reveal the map, but this time every single one is completely different. So much so that I don't want to show you why in this video. Cauldrons are of course back as well, so we're able to override the new machines, but these activities also have some very cool twists and turns, with even a jaw-dropping moment for me once. There are totally some new activities that you can find for yourself, but even the familiar ones are taken to the next level this time around. Just don't expect them to reinvent the open world genre. While the game looks next gen, there are almost no load times, the DualSense features are amazing, they're not like over the top, but they totally enhance the experience. Overall though, it's still very much a previous generation game in terms of structure, with icons filling the map, activities with familiar progression, and limited random encounters. The world does feel way more alive though than recent open world titles, which is mostly because of the tribes and their behavior, especially in the settlements, but also how they react to you based on recent story moments. It feels like Aloy exists in this world, and there are just a lot of small details that really show the love and care Guerrilla put into this game. The order at which you do things constantly impacts the world around you, or even cutscenes. So it is possible that I experienced little details you did not, because I chose to complete a side mission before you did. It really shows how Guerrilla has grown from a newcomer to the open world genre with Zero Dawn to a master of that familiar yet fun formula. Again, Horizon Forbidden West feels like Guerrilla's vision for the original realized. They were able to make the world even more believable, the main story characters more likable, and the amount of machines we get to hunt even more impressive and varied. It's in every way a better version of one of my favorite games of all time. It's an adventure I would recommend to you in a heartbeat. I would recommend it to anyone, and it still has so much potential to grow, to expand on certain ideas. I wish they already did that more in the Forbidden West, but it's also hard to look at this game and then not be satisfied. I'm really excited for you to finally play it. Totally share your thoughts in the comments or on social media, and subscribe of course, because this is the start of our extensive Forbidden West coverage, with even a review discussion. If you want to hear the thoughts of the full team, you can click on the screen to watch it, or see a countdown if we still have to record it live. There are a ton of spoiler-free tips and tricks coming your way. It's going to be really awesome. Can't wait to experience this game with you. Thanks for your support, and I see you soon. Goodbye.